Happy Halloween and welcome to Kelly's Anesthesia Tips. Okay, I just peeked in. I didn't put one out for October, so this is my last ditch effort to try to jam in all I've been meaning to do while I have a few. So happy Halloween, first of all, and then I'm going to share some information with you as quickly as possible, and hopefully it's helpful to all of you because listen, guys, this is what we need, helping each other. So the first thing I'm sharing is some examples of denials received. Thank you for my anesthesia friends. I don't think I've shared this yet. And if I have, then I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. If you're starting to get denials for not having the documentation properly worded for central lines, some of the insurance companies, mainly UHC from what I'm hearing now, but others, are asking that the actual verbiage reflects that the catheter tip terminates in the subclavian, brachiocephalic, iliac, superior, inferior vena cava, the right atrium. So this is something you need to work with your clinical staff on, updating templates, making sure that you get that information that they're looking for. That information does come from the code description itself. So if you look in your CPT book, under this code, around that section, you'll see that exact verbiage. This is Decision Health's coding program, but it's the same information. Same thing on your ultrasound that you're using for it. Making sure that you have the right terminology for that as well in the note, because you're looking for a separate note. They're looking for something to validate that you have real-time visualization of the needle entry, permanent recording and reporting, and documentation of the selected vessel patency. Now, you do not have to typically send in that ultrasound image, but you do have to have it available. These are things that we've talked about at the last 2 meetings that I've been attending. So I'm sharing. All right. And at the end of the slides, I'm going to give you guys like a 1-pager that I can post on YouTube for some of these links. This is an excellent resource that I have used for many, many years. Goes back so far that I actually had talked to a rep from Sonosite who said at the time that they're not looking for the image with the needle in it, but that may be something that your insurance company says is the reason they're denying too. So the game here is, if you're getting denied for what the documentation looks like, you're going to have to change the documentation to reflect what it is that they need to see. And of course, that has to support the service that's being reported. That's a given. All right, now, I have a friend, Hal Nelson. I have known him for many, many, many moons through many, many other locations, wherever he's gone. So he's a good guy, very knowledgeable, incredibly knowledgeable, goes back so far. If I remember my Hal Nelson history right, he used to work on the insurance side with United Healthcare. So Hal spoke at our meeting out at AIA BPM, the one that I did advertising and supporting. I'm supportive of every anesthesia meeting there is, just because we're a unicorn. We're a unique specialty. Those of you who are new to it will learn quickly enough. You need to have anesthesia friends. So here, Hal said in the session that I wasn't able to attend because I was busy running the desk, I think, at this time. But the surgical field avoidance and special positioning is a red herring and do not bill. So this is the point where I get to tell you that sometimes we don't always agree with each other, even though we're friends. And, we all share information. Hal needs something, he calls me. I need something, I'll call Hal, because, it's that kind of a world for anesthesia people. But I don't necessarily agree because we look at it from a different perspective. He works with a billing company. They don't see it being paid by a lot of their payers. He says by less than 1% of the insurance plan. It unnecessarily makes your accounts receivable higher than it needs to be, and you're busy spinning your wheels trying to get it paid for. I understand that. He also said compensation to providers is illogical, and there's where I also disagree, because I know so many payers that do allow extra value if the service is less than 5 base units. And that's where I think Howe's thoughts come in, because many of the procedures that require surgical field avoidance, or if you see it as SFA, that's what they mean, or special positioning, are already valued at 5 units or higher, but not all of them. We still have a lot of 3 and 4 unit services that might actually qualify to modify and move this up however the insurance company wants it. Now, I just recently did some education. I'm going to scroll on to my next one so I can do my balancing act. I like Howe, but I respectfully disagree, because it's a payer thing. If your payer pays for it, why in the world would you not bill it? Yeah, it might take a little bit of extra, to appeal if they don't pick it up that first time. But these are dollars that are due your doctors or your anesthesia staff that does the clinical side of this, because it's extra. It's not something that's done for every patient. So having the thought that it's illogical to me is illogical, because it's logical that if you do something special for someone that you don't do for everyone else, there should be a charge for that. I mean, just think of that as your normal life. We pay for extra cream in your coffee if you like sweet cream at Starbucks. Thank you, Doris Brinker. All right, so here when I said I agree with the ASA, that's because the ASA looked at this back in 2019. And Dr. Gall and Dr. Jana McAllister, I don't know her, I do know Dr. Gall, they look at this and said, okay, let's change the verbiage because we want it to reflect current, and we want to make sure that the insurances understand. So this is in your relative value guide, and you can use this to help insurances understand, but I see so many of them that already know that this is what the ASA, or the American Society of Anesthesia, recommends for it, because I see a lot of this add modifier 22 in the policies now. And having been in anesthesia as long as I have, I remember when insurances didn't even know what the relative value guide was. They're a lot wiser now, and I think that they do kind of tend to lean toward listening to what the ASA has to say, and the ASA says this is a service that we need extra value for, and explains how it works. Said I'll give you these links later. Now, what I worry about, I'm going to give you a couple examples, and I threw them all on one slide. I did education recently, and 2 of the payers that I could find pretty quickly had policies that said, yes, we'll pay. Then I found UHC, United Healthcare. I don't bang them because, listen, they recognize it's worth an extra value, and all they're doing when they deny services is wanting you to fix things so they can understand how to pay them. So don't get me wrong. I think United Healthcare does a great job of updating their anesthesia policy every year. So here they tell you how to do it, following the ASA's guidance with the modifier 22. That's a big payer. And they pay for the service. This is Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. They pay for the service. I don't think I gave you the links here because you guys can research your own geographical locations, but they further explain how it works. And again, it follows the ASA's recommendations. So do I. So if I'm ever reviewing and I see you not reporting these services to someone that you should be able to report them to, I'll give you the dollar figure of what it's worth that you're losing for not reporting that service. And here, this tends to make me think, if you're starting to not bill services that you should get paid for, is this a reason why the insurance companies, or Aetnas and the Blue Cross and Blue Shields of some of these states, are starting to say, well, now we don't want to pay you for the sicker patients. Now we don't want to pay you for physical status modifiers, where they should. They're patients that are more difficult to care for. These are patients that are not your routine, standard, run-of-the-mill, put them to sleep, wake them up. They have to do so many extra things for them. So I don't want to start that ball rolling that says that we don't have, we don't want to bill for these services because it's not logical, or it's not much money, or it's less than 1%. It's something you get paid for, and you should bill for it. Opinion. All right, moving on. Okay, this came from the meeting that I just went to in Philadelphia with Doris Brinker. That was the most sessions I have ever attended, because I'm usually there as either, a liaison or president of one of the associations that I was working with. But this time I got to sit on a lot more sessions other than more like the social aspect of it. So I shared just a few things that I learned. This is for the clinical people. There's a scorecard that you can use for the prediction of post-op respiratory complications. And as soon as I figure out how to get more of these slides off my phone, I may have more to share. There was so much good information here. So here's the website. I'll share it. That was new for me. This one was new as well. So thank you, Dr. Rosenquist. I sat in on this session and learned something that I did not know. When you are involved in society surveys that are sent to your email specifically, it is only tied to you, and it can't be completed by anyone other than the person receiving the survey. Did not know that. Now, I do surveys all the time because when I was taking my classes out at the brick and mortar local Lake Sumter College, they expressed the importance of having these surveys completed because so few people do complete them. And I see it from the other side. So they are important. It is information that if your doctors are getting, they can't forward to you to fill it out for them, or they can't, pass it to someone else in the physician group to fill it out. It has to be the person receiving the survey. And that's because they're looking for random samples of the membership. Now, this is not the way that the cost survey works, and I'll tell you how I know that, because every year on my social media, I try to help make sure people understand the importance of filling out. I put cost survey. It should be commercial fee survey, but I'm going to share that link. And while I'm mentioning the cost survey, that MGMA used to do those that were very valuable to me 21 years ago, but it's really hard to get that type of information. Why? Because people aren't participating in the surveys. So back to the commercial fee survey. If you do that, you're typically following a link. If you have a billing company, please ask your billing company to do top 5 commercial payers. It's all blinded. It's not going to come back tied to, your group when this stuff is published, and I'm going to show you an example of that. They ask for a deadline in July. Participation keeps dwindling. But we need these surveys. We meaning the anesthesia community. I'm one. I've never stopped being one of the community. The results are in November. I'm going to show them to you. If you get the paper monitor to my left over here in my reading stack, this is where it comes in. You can also access it if you have an ASA membership. I think this one you can access without membership. I'm not sure, because I'm a member. It doesn't let me do a non-member sign-in. So if you have a physician and you need them to get this for you, that's what you need to do. If not, ask me and I'll share whatever information I can to help you out. So this is just a snippet of what it looks like, the resource from all of these doctors and Helen Okaba, who donate their time. You may see Dr. Gal here again. They are all trying to help us be, a better organization, a better society for the anesthesia community, to make sure that we are getting paid for the services that we perform. And this is how you keep tabs with that, so that in your location. And I see a lot, you guys, because I do reviews. Of course, it's all proprietary. I cannot share, but I can tell you that I know that there are practices that don't update or look at their fee schedules or their conversion factors, or some that look at them so often that they're way above the percentiles, so you should know about where you should be. If you go to the store, a gallon of milk costs so much here and so much there. So there's some transparency with services, and especially with Medicare, since they opened up all of that information. So know where you are. It's important. Said I was going to make this short. I hope I did. Trying to. Anyway, here we go. Last one. Angela Connellan. Hello. It was great meeting you out in St. Louis. So you asked for the spreadsheet tool. I gave it. I uploaded it to my forms to download page right before I did this. And just to plug again, if you missed this meeting, it was fantastic. There's another meeting coming up in January. We are planning on this next meeting here. It should be sometime in 2025. Don't have the dates or locations ironed out yet, but as soon as we do, we'll let you know. Why is it important? I keep them all on my website, whether it's a virtual or whether it's an in-person one, because we are a unicorn specialty. We do need each other to help each other out. I said, I'm going to finish on that. I'll give you the resources, and I will. Here they are. I'm going to post them to the YouTube. But here's my final thought. Your vote counts. Today is October 31st. We have a few more days to get your vote in. And I want you to know, politically, to me, you vote how you vote. That's the beauty of America. You may not know, but I lived in a country that was under martial law in the 70s. I was fortunate because my father was a serviceman and we were able to move on to the base. But off base, you couldn't go out at night. It was scary. You know, I don't want to be in a place where I'm scared. So my vote matters. Your vote matters. We have lived in a country where we get to vote, so please take advantage of that. There are those who have given up that right by protecting ours. So make sure you vote, however you vote. Thank you all. Darn, I was so, okay, I know it. I usually end with my little nice slide of be kind to others and generous with your knowledge, but I know it by heart. So please, be kind to others, generous with your knowledge. I thank you, and I will see you again soon. That was as short as I could make it.